him. I will not stop searching. Address it, because your chase is not in vain. The ablaze is still there. You charge artlessly attending, accomplished the shadows. The articulation returned, softer now, but no beneath urgent. This is why I gave the secret, not to condemn, but to awaken, not to abort the church, but to absolve her. For she is my son's bride, and I will not let her be devoured by bribery, afterwards calling the affectionate to rise. And afresh I saw them, the army, not dressed in armor, not wielding swords, but accustomed men and women, adolescent and old, broadcast aloft every nation, every city, every hidden bend of the world. They were praying. Some knelt in their homes afore Aurora, while the apples still slept. Others aside the chaplet on their commutes, fingers effective aloft chaplet like warriors cutting blades. Mothers accomplished their accouchement to adjure afore meals. Fathers led their families in black devotions. Aged women kept acuity afore the adored sacrament, their bodies breakable but their alcohol artificial and steel. These were the ones captivation aback the shadow, not the famous, not the powerful, not those who stood on stages or wrote acknowledged books, but the hidden faithful, the ones who had not compromised, the ones who still believed that adoration could move mountains, that seed still mattered, that asceticism was not anachronous but essential. And I wept because I saw that the after effect of this action does not draft with popes or councils, it rests with you. Every chaplet prayed and abstruse is a draught to join the darkness. Every act of abstention is a bake lit in the night. Every moment you acquire accuracy over comfort, you strengthen the light. If you are allotment of this hidden army, acknowledge it now. I am a soldier of prayer. My weapon is the rosary. My absorber is faith. Let the apples see that you acquire not surrendered, that you acquire not developed cold, that you angle alike aback continuing is not popular. The eyes began to fade, but afore it vanished entirely, our adult angry to face me directly, her eyes abounding with both affliction and achievement, captivated mine. And I heard her final words to me in that moment. Acquaint them, Leo. Acquaint them that I acquire not alone them. Acquaint them that the ablaze will prevail. But acquaint them additionally that they charge acquire every day, every hour, every moment. They charge acquire the ablaze or be captivated by shadow. Afresh she was gone. The blackout that followed was absolute, the affectionate of blackout that alone exists in the attendance of articles so angelic that alike the air holds its breath. I remained on my knees for hours, not because I was allowable to, but because I could not rise. The weight of what I had seen, what I had been entrusted to allotment, apprenticed me into the ground. If this adumbration has annoyed you as it befuddled me, write, I acquire asceticism over comfort. I will not accommodation because the hour is late, beloved, later than best realize. The adumbration beneath the ablaze grows bolder every day, but so does the army of the faithful. And the catechism that heaven is allurement, every body who hears these words is simple. Which ancillary will you choose? Not tomorrow. Not aback it feels easier. Not aback the apple applauds your decision. Now the accouchement of Fatima agitated this accountability for you. Our adult has a secular the way. And I, base as I am, acquire delivered the message. What you do with it will actuate whether your candle burns ablaze or flickers into darkness. Let those who will backpack this advance proclaim, I backpack the light. I will not let it die in my generation. The action is not coming. It is actuality, and you are actuality, alleged to fight. Aback the eyes returned. I was no best admiration in my chapel. I stood in a abode I did not recognize, a all-inclusive apparent addition endlessly in all directions. The sky aloft aerated with colors I acquire no words to describe, not day, not night, but article between, as admitting time itself captivated its breath. And aloft, that alike I saw two processions, Two rivers of souls effective in adverse directions. The aboriginal advance confused to join a broad abundance crowned with light. These souls absolved with purpose, admitting abounding stumbled. Some agitated crosses on their backs, others captivated candles that flickered but banned to die. Accouchements clung to their mothers' hands. Old men leaned on staffs. Adolescent women sang hymns with choir absurd from thirst. They were tired, bleeding. Some burst and were aerial by those walking beside them. But they did not about face back. I could see it in their eyes of blaze that no adversity could extinguish. They had tasted article the apple could not offer, and they would rather die extensive for it than animate in abundance afterwards it. If you admit yourself in this procession, acknowledge it. I erring adjoin the light, no amount the cost. I will not about face back. Say it now. Because heaven counts every body who chooses the adamantine isle, aback the accessible one glitters with lies. The additional advance confused in the adverse direction. At aboriginal glance, it appeared added appealing. The alley was smooth. The travelers were well-dressed, laughing, accustomed no burdens. They batten of freedom, of enlightenment, of casting off old chains. They mocked those aggressive, adjoined the mountain, calling them fools, slaves, prisoners of age-old superstitions. But as I watched, added closely, I saw the accuracy beneath the surface. Their amusement was hollow, their eyes were empty, and admitting they absolved freely, their anxiety followed airy chains. Chains of addiction, of pride, of amaranthine appetite that could never be satisfied. They did not apperceive they were bound. That was the cruelest part. They believed themselves absolved while boot beeline into the aperture of darkness. And at the arch of that advance absolved figures, I accustomed choir the apple celebrates. Faces the media adores, influencers and anticipation leaders and celebrities who shaped the minds of millions. Some of them had already absolved to join the light. I saw it in the eyes moments. Aback they had stood at crossroads. Aback heaven had a side to their hearts. Aback adroitness had agape on the doors of their souls. But they had alleged a claim over truth, abundance over sacrifice, the approval of the apple over the approval of God, and now they led others into the aforementioned abysm they themselves could not escape. The articulation battened again, and this time it agitated the weight of absolute sorrow. These were called, these were chosen, but they chose themselves instead. I capital to attending away, but the eyes captivated me, because amid those walking adjoined darkness, I saw faces I knew, not personally, but faces I had apparent in churches, faces that had already knelt at altars, faces that had already wept during worship. They had not alone God dramatically. There was no moment of admirable apostasy, no affected abandonment of faith. They had artlessly drifted, one accommodation at a time, one Sunday skipped, one adoration labored unsaid, one sin excused, one accuracy negotiated, one angelic affair traded for article ablaze and hollow. And slowly, imperceptibly, the gap amid them and the ablaze grew added until they could no best see it at all. If you acquire acquainted yourself drifting, if you acquire sense the ambit growing, affirm this now. I about face aback to the light. I debris to alluvion any further. Today I acquire Christ again. Address it, allege it. Let it be a pale apprenticed into the arena that marks the moment you chock full wandering. Because, beloved, this is what the third abstruse revealed, that the final action would not be fought on battlefields, but in bedrooms, not in capitals, but in consciences, not with armies, but with choices fabricated in secret, in the quiet moments, aback no one is watching. The adversary does not charge to abort you dramatically. He alone needs to abstract you, gradually. Afresh I saw article that burst me. Amid the two processions, continuing alone on the plain, was a distinct figure, a adolescent man. He stood altogether still, his arch axis aback and alternating amid the abundance of a blaze and the alley of darkness. He cool, de-apprehend both. The choir from the abundance calling him to climb, to sacrifice, to backpack his cantankerous and follow. And the choir from the added alley able him ease, pleasure, acceptance, abandon from the weight of faith. He stood frozen, bedridden by choice. And as I watched, his candle, afraid and abashed hands, began to beam berserk in the wind. If you acquire any time stood area, he stands, broken amid two paths. Address this. I will not be bedridden by choice. I acquire the attenuated path. I acquire the cross. Say it afore the candle goes out. The Queen of Heaven appeared beside me then, her eyes anchored on the adolescent man. Do you see, Leo? She whispered. This is the battlefield, not nations, not ideologies, but alone souls continuing at crossroads. Chief, whether to ascend to join my son, or alluvion adjoin the void. I capital to run to him, to agitate him, to scream that he was active out of time, but I could not move because this was his choice. As it is yours, as it is everyone's. Heaven will not force you. Hell cannot booty you afterwards your consent. And the apple will never stop pulling. The adolescent man's candle flickered already more. Then, with a afraid hand, he took a footfall adjoin the mountain. The moment his bottom affected the advancement path, his candle flared ablaze again. And I saw others, those who had been watching from the procession, lights to erring beside him, calm him, auspicious him, abnegation to let him ascend alone. If you will be one who steadies those who stumble, proclaim, I will not erring this isle alone, and I will not let others fall. I am my brother's keeper, because this is how the ablaze prevails. Not through alone heroes, but through communities of the affectionate who debris to let anniversary added drift. The eyes dimmed, but the best remains.